The Amazon storm last night was like a giant beast tearing the sky apart. Thunder roared like cannon fire, trees crashed down, and Roner's small boat was swept away into the pitch-black waters. When he woke, the storm was gone. No wind, no thunder, only the sound of his own ragged breathing, blending with the soft drip of water from the jungle canopy. Every muscle ached. Roner tried to sit up, but a heavy pressure on his chest stopped him cold. A black, polished bone spear hovered inches from his throat. As his vision cleared, he saw 6 towering figures surrounding him, neither fully human nor entirely beast. They were 6 reptilian female warriors, their bodies sculpted with balanced, powerful muscle. Their olive-green scales shimmered faintly, fading to pale beige along the neck and abdomen, reflecting the sunlight filtering through the jungle leaves. Their faces were dinosaur-like, elongated snouts, sharp teeth, and golden eyes with vertical slit pupils that gleamed like blades. Instead of hair, each bore a ridge of bony crests and horned spines running from forehead to neck, quivering slightly as they moved. Their attire was dark brown leather armor, hand-carved and reinforced with shoulder pads, adorned with spikes and small bones. Every step they took produced a dry, metallic clatter. One of the warriors, her scales darker than the rest, stepped forward and pressed her 3-clawed foot hard against Roner's chest, forcing the air from his lungs. She leaned down, bringing her snout close to his face, and spoke in a guttural, broken Portuguese. "Who, man, hunter." Her breath was hot, carrying a damp, metallic scent, the kind that belonged to something ancient. Roner squinted, struggling to stay calm. His instincts, sharpened by years of hunting, screamed that a single wrong move would mean instant death. They stripped him of his weapons, his hunting knife, lighter, and even the silver necklace with a serpent-shaped pendant. One of them raised the knife high like a trophy, roaring something in their own harsh tongue, and the others hissed in unison in fierce approval. Bound by thick jungle vines and dragged through the undergrowth, Roner began to understand the terrifying truth. He hadn't found them. He had been found by them. The Serpentis, the reptilian tribe whispered about an Amazonian legend, were real, and they had claimed him. For years, the natives had spoken of them as snake goddesses, guardians of the forest spirits, enemies of humans, and the fear of all treasure hunters. Roner had laughed at the stories. Until today. Forward. On the way being escorted, past the moss-covered ancient trees, he could still hear the sound of running water and the smell of rotting leaves. But in his mind, there was only one cold thought. In 3 days, he could have completed the $50,000 contract. A lithium mining corporation hired him to wipe out the tribe clearing land they believed held vast mineral reserves. The best deal of his life. But now the hunter has become the prey, and the creatures he's paid to kill are leading him deeper into their territory, into places the world has never seen before. A vague premonition rose in his heart. He was about to lose not only his life, but something even deeper, his very humanity. They led Roner through the deep woods, where the sunlight was a faint blur between the leaves. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, moss, and decaying insects. The chirping of insects mingled with the heavy breathing of the reptilian warriors. Each of their footsteps echoed on the ground like an ancient ritual drum. After more than an hour, the group reached a huge gray stone temple, hidden among moss-covered trees and vines. The stone pillars were carved with serpents, twisting and turning as if in motion in the darkness. On the steps were the remains of ancient rituals, animal bones, stone masks, and ceramic bowls filled with long cold ashes. The 2 warriors opened the massive stone doors. Inside, the air was cold and damp, filled with the scent of burning resin and dried leaves. At the end of the chamber, the light of hundreds of green torches reflected off a polished black obsidian throne where Queen Sarah sat. Sira was nearly 2 meters tall, her entire body covered in dark green scales that were almost black, shining like metal in the firelight. Her eyes were liquid amber, deep and piercing, as if she could see right through the soul of the person she met. On her head was a crown made from a ram's skull with 2 curved horns, wrapped with leather straps and small snake bones. As Roner knelt down on the cold stone floor, Sira did not speak immediately. She just stared at him for a long time, silent to the point of fear. Then her voice rang out deep, powerful, like the sound of a stone rolling through a mountain. "Who sent you here, Hunter?" Her voice was a standard Bo Dao Na, different from the rough voices of the warriors outside. Roner bowed his head, trying to keep his composure. He knew that one wrong word would end his life here. "I am just a hunter of rare animals," he said, his voice hoarse with thirst and fear. "I got lost in the storm. I didn't mean to trespass on your territory." Sira closed her eyes and took a deep breath, as if tasting his heartbeat in the air. When she opened them again, her gaze was as sharp as a knife. "Your eyes speak the truth, but your heart trembles like someone who hides blood on his hands." The air in the temple turned cold. From the shadows behind the obsidian throne, a gaunt, elderly figure stepped out, Mage Jara. Her skin was a beige gray, its luster gone, wrinkled like a snake's skin that had shed itself too many times. From the tips of her nose to the corners of her mouth, old scales lay layered like the shell of time. In her hand was a black wooden staff, around which a living snake with golden scales was tightly coiled, its head raised as if listening. Sira whispered, "Jara, look through him. What does his blood say?"
See through him. What does his
The Mage Jara moved closer to Roner, her breath cold as smoke. She didn't look, just sniffed, touching his forehead lightly with a black-nailed fingertip, then murmured softly in an ancient language he didn't understand. The snake on the staff slithered lightly, its tongue flicking out at him. Finally, she opened her eyes, her voice hoarse and echoing throughout the room. "He is not a lost man. He carries the scent of death, of jaguars, anacondas, crocodiles, and humans." Roner clenched his fists, feeling every eye in the room on him. Sira remained silent, and Jara closed his eyes as if seeing something beyond the present. Then she continued, her voice low like the sound of water flowing backward. "His fate ... is tied to this tribe. I see 2 paths. 1, he destroys everything. 2, he saves everything. Both are equally possible." The whole temple was dead silent. Only the sound of the golden snake slithering across the surface of the staff could be heard, crackling like the sound of fate stirring. Sira looked at Roner for a long time, then slowly stood up. The green light from the torch reflected off her face, making her amber eyes burn. "If so," she said, "I can neither kill you nor release you." She raised aloft a staff of obsidian carved with serpents. All the warriors knelt. According to ancient law, the bearer of the prophecy must pass the 3 ancient tests to determine whether you are a destroyer or a savior. Jara raised her head and smiled slightly, a smile that was not human. "The 3 trials have not been performed for 3 generations. Perhaps the forest has been waiting for him all along." Sira looked straight at Roner. "You will not die today, Hunter, but after 3 trials, you may wish you had died." The light in the temple suddenly went out, leaving only a pair of amber eyes glowing in the darkness. That night, the Amazon did not sleep. The autumn stars were hidden by a thick mist, and in the heart of the ancient god, Roner was led down to the stone vault. The footsteps of the 6 female warriors echoed, cold and rhythmic like the beat of funeral drums. Before him, Queen Sira stood on a stone pedestal, her amber eyes reflecting the green torchlight, looking both majestic and surreal. "The 3 trials will decide your fate," she said. Not I, not the gods, but you will judge yourself. The first challenge, survive with Sias. Sira raised a hand and the stone floor split beneath Roner's feet. He let out a scream before falling into the icy depths. The splash was metallic, and he sank into a cavern filled with icy water. All around was darkness. Only a few phosphorescent lights emitted from the damp rock. Then a long, deep, snorting sound rang out. From the darkness, a giant snake slithered out. Its body was as thick as a barrel, over 3 meters long, its bronze-green scales reflecting a faint light. Its eyes glowed golden, exuding an extraordinary intelligence. I am Sias, the snake said, in a deep voice that echoed in Roner's head, as if from the earth itself. He who wishes to live must overcome me. If the water reaches the ceiling and you are still breathing, you win. If not, you will be the forest's feast. I am Sias, the snake said, in a deep voice that echoed in Roner's head, as if from the earth itself. He who wishes to live must overcome me. If the water reaches the ceiling and you are still breathing, you win. If not, you will be the forest's feast. The snake moved slowly, its forked tongue flicking out as if tasting his fear. It lunged. Roner rolled aside, slashing at its torso, but the axe only grazed its steel-hard scales. In a flash, Sias raised its head and bit into his shoulder. Snake venom flowed into his body, burning, then numbing. 10 minutes, Cyrus's voice echoed. The poison arm will be immobile. 20 minutes more, and you'll be dead. Roner gritted his teeth, sweat and water mixing together. He knew he could not win by force. The feeling in his right arm was beginning to fade. He shifted the axe to his left hand, looked around. The water was up to his chest. When Sias charged again, he didn't dodge, but charged straight at the monster. The sudden impact made Sias roar and curl up. Roner dove into the water, circled behind its head, and with his last strength pinned the axe blade to the weak scales just behind its neck, where the skin split as thin as membrane. Golden blood gushed out, staining the water. Sias hissed, his body convulsing. You survived, it whispered, and that is enough. The giant collapsed, and a blue light spread from its eyes throughout the cavern. The rock wall cracked open, opening the entrance to the temple. Roner fainted in the cold water. He woke on a wet temple floor, bathed in pale blue light reflected from the sacred pool. Sira sat on an obsidian throne looking down, while Jara placed her hand on his chest, whispering in the ancient tongue. You survived. Sias chose to spare you, she said. Now comes the second test, where you will no longer be able to hide underwater. Roner gripped his axe, taking a deep breath. He knew his next test would not be one of survival, but of honor. The second challenge, fighting Veskra.